Okay, so let's go ahead and get started.
Yep.
This is George Gause. I'm staff of the Heritage Preservation Commission. I work for the city of St. Paul. We are hosting a neighborhood meeting to talk about the proposed construction on the vacant lot at 300 Ryan. I wanted to call a meeting. The HPC has a lot of interest in making sure that neighbors are being heard and folks have a chance to speak. Currently, the builder, the contractor, the developer does not have a application in front of us. They did a pre-app back on December 14th. I realize it was a very long meeting, but we did eventually get to the project. The commission had several comments that they made during that meeting, and I wanted to say those. So the commission comments were that there is a wide variety of structures in the area. It is okay to add new window style to Irvine Park. They questioned that. They wanted to know more about what was going on the other two lots. There are 3 lots here. And did the client want a particular style, or is this speculative? Those were the questions the commission had asked. Then the commission comments were that one of the commissioners did like the design in the bay window. There was a comment that this is a modest neighborhood and the design focus should be for a modest infill. The design may be overwhelming for infill construction. A couple commissioners felt that the detailing needed to be toned down some. This is a new building in a historic district. It should focus on scale massing materials to fit in. And there needs to be simplification so that this fits into Irvine Park. So I don't, other than that, there's not a formal program. We do have the applicants with us tonight. I don't know if they wanted to say something first, talk about where we are. So John and Tony, do you want to take a couple minutes to just talk about where you guys are?
Absolutely. And I apologize. I'm on the phone. I'm on a vacation here, so if you see me, apologize. I just want to touch on this project and what our original goals were with when I bought this development. I really wanted to bring a lot of historic feel into these 3 lots. I am certainly not trying to build something that is trying to minimize other houses around there. This is a 2,500 square foot home above grade. It is not a big home. The other comments that came up in our last meeting, toning it down a little bit, maybe with some of the trim. We can accommodate that. I have no problems with that at all. But as far as, I've gotten a couple other emails from the neighbors. I really tried to do homes off of what was around Irvine Park, and Irvine Park has some of the best architecture in St. Paul. So a little caught off guard when we were recommended to tone it down a little bit, which we're always willing to work with the neighbors and HPC. But like I said, it's not. You talked about massing. It's a 2,500 square foot home. As far as the look of it, I don't think it's going to be obnoxious or not fit into the neighborhood. I think it's going to be a nice piece of the neighborhood. There's a lot of architecture in Irvine Park, and we want to work with everyone. We want to listen to everyone. We have 3 houses being built there, but I'd also like to keep the integrity of the design. Those are our biggest points tonight, and we're here to listen and see if we can come to some thoughts and ideas that we can move forward on to get this through HPC.
Okay, great. So we'll just, if folks have comments about the design, if they want to say something, we'll just kind of keep this open. Microsoft Teams does mute people automatically if you don't speak for a few minutes. And so if you're on your computer, it's just the microphone that's up in the upper top right-hand corner. If you're on a phone, then it's *6. If you have any trouble, quickly email me and I can get you in, or you may need to go out of it completely and come back in. So, but let's just, I'll let folks just give comments. We don't have any commissioners here tonight. I am recording this, so commissioners can hear the conversation later when this does come back in front of the commission for review. I'll just open up the floor and let folks speak.
My name is Ken Peterson. We live at 292 Ryan, right next to 300, what will be 300 Ryan. And we've lived here for 36 years, and it's been a vacant lot the whole time. So we're excited about having somebody beside us. We're feeling very good about that. And if I'm happy to see that John says that he doesn't believe the massing will be a problem. And I suppose if we do the diagram or the streetscape, we'll be able to see that. And I think it's a good thing. If we can work on a few of the little design elements that were brought up at the HPC, such as the roof, I think this is a very positive step for our neighborhood. Really positive step for us living right next to it.
Yes, and to jump in here, if that's something, George, you want, we can, I can put this onto a survey, the size of the home. Obviously, we are fitting within the requirements of this lot. We're not going for a variance in any way. It is not a massive home by any means. It's a 2,500 square foot above grade home. If that's something the neighbors would like, or HPC, we can absolutely accommodate that.
Hey, John, Elise Jensen here. Can you all hear me?
Absolutely. Yes. Hi, Elise.
Hey, how are you doing? Say congratulations. Did I see that you guys sold a second one?
Yes. Yep. We have a second one sold, and we're just kind of working through some of the early design aspects of things right now.
That's awesome. Is it, can you, I didn't see details. We've been, our eyeballs too, but is it the center lot or the other far lot?
Click on the far lot. The far lot.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. We're excited to have you guys building. I just have to say my only issue, I don't have really any issues. I don't have, but other than just the massing stuff is always a concern. So I think that would be awesome if you guys could just draw something up. We can show the neighbors and show them that it's, going to fit and going to work well. So that's all for me.
That's easy for us to do.
Hi, can I say something? Hi, this is Robert.
Hi, Robert.
I live across the street at 299 Ryan. That second lot that you're talking about, you're going to have to really dig. They put the whole foundation into the ground.
Okay.
And the second thing is, during the construction, when we had the last big construction project here, which was the sewer project, I got boxed in. I don't want to have that happen again this time around.
That's completely understandable. And Tony, my manager, who is on the call, you guys will all contact.
I didn't know that.
Whatever that happened, which unfortunately it may happen. We're a phone call away, and Tony always picks up. All our subs know not to do that, but sometimes communications gets missed. But we're very familiar with building in St. Paul. We're building a house on Summit right now. We've done a ton of projects on Crocus and Mac and Highland. So we're used to working with neighbors in these tight spaces. So I hear your concerns, and we will absolutely make note of that.
The other concern I said is about how they plowed all the house and everything into the earth on that far lot that you're talking about, the
Okay.
second lot that you sold. That's going to have
Yes,
some hazardous material in there.
There's hazardous materials in the ground.
Yes, they plowed it right into it.
I'm not, I
Start
can talk.
digging. Start digging between. If you dig between the second and third lots, the middle lot and the third lot, you'll find it in there. I guarantee you.
Okay.
I watched them put it in.
Yeah, we'll make note of that, and I can and see if he has any idea of what you're talking about, because that would be brand new to us. We bought those lots with the house already torn down, so we wouldn't have any knowledge of what you're talking about.
I witnessed it. I know I saw it.
Yep, and if
They bulldozed the house into
we
the
will
ground.
abide by OSHA regulations, and we'll get the city involved in getting it removed, and we'll do everything by the book on that if and when we do find that material.
Absolutely.
And I was also going to note that I will put a box, an information box on our job site sign. I'll have my business cards in there. You'll all have my contact, and if anything, if you get blocked in or anything else, just give me a holler.
Yeah, there's also the sign that's down on the ground. It's broken.
It was very windy today. I'm sure I got to drive by there and get it back up. So
It's completely broken at the base.
all right.
It's been there for over a month.
Okay. Well, we'll thank you for letting us know. We want our signs up. So yes, we will.
Well, if you want to have people moving in here, you better put them up.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said if you want people to move in to buy your property, put up your signs. They keep falling down.
Noted. Yes.
Now I can't see you guys because I have no camera or anything, so I can't see you guys. But I can get the audio.
Okay. Yeah. No. As the business owner, I can tell you that I want the signs up. You're right. So I agree with you, and we will be more proactive to keep the signs up. Any other
All right.
questions?
Anyone else?
And George, if you wanted to share, our email, I think Elise has my email, but I don't know if everyone does. But we're more than happy to talk via email or chat as things progress. The neighbors are usually our biggest advocate on moving forward on these builds, and we want to work with everyone. So we want to keep an open line of communication going. So please feel free to share my email and Tony's email.
Yeah, John, we've shared some stuff on our neighborhood page earlier on in the process and that actually I want to say it might have been my husband. Somebody just shared today, that yesterday that your second lot had sold. So yeah, so people are, I think you're pretty visible to the community if people need to find you.
Great.
Kurt Schwickenberg here. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can hear you, Kurt.
Cool. Great, thank you. My two concerns really are for the height of the building, and I understand that comes from the method of construction, the 2-foot floor trusses and 10-foot ceilings and so forth. But the proposed building is on a street of much smaller buildings, shorter and narrower. And the concern is that the proposed would overwhelm the existing, including you know, the row of four squares that are regulated by HPC. So that's, and I understand there's not a lot you can do. You're not going to change your construction method to go back to 10-inch joists or something. But the square footage of facade that presents to the street is much larger than anything else on the street. And I would argue that the proposed really wants to relate to the existing structures and not overwhelm them. Kind of along those same lines is the decoration on the front elevation. You know, the as drawn, that's very much more embellished and decorative than anything else on Ryan Avenue. And again, the concern is for the new structures overwhelming those that have been there for, 40 or 100 years. 40 years is a reference to the townhouses across the street, and the four squares are 100 years. So that's about it. There are more, little nuanced things, but we don't have to go into those. But I'm also glad to see something happening and looking forward to it. Thanks.
Awesome. And I will comment on this a little bit. I guess we're keeping within the guidelines that the city presented to us. I don't believe myself that these are going to be the front facade of these homes. I'm talking massing now, are going to be any bigger than, I just don't think they're going to stick out or be like drive by and be like, oh, wow, these are new. So I would say before we pass judgment on that, let us do some work for you guys. And I think, Tony, you want to jump in here and talk about with David what he's doing?
Yeah, so our architect right now is actually working on, it's a full rendering. So it'll be like a camera that it'll actually move down the street and you kind of see exactly what it looks like. It'll have a lot more, it'll be more accurate than just a drawing on a paper, which is usually what we submit. And I'd also like to add that a lot of our design was based off the house, kind of on 35 Irvine Park, which is on the corner of Ryan. So, while the address isn't Ryan Avenue exactly, but it does share the same street on the side, and that does have the bay windows and a lot of detail that is actually at a higher level than ours, I would argue. So we feel that it does relate to that house very well, and we will also show that on our street rendering.
And again, some of the details, we can bring them down a little bit. We've already talked about that, George and I, in the last meeting, and changing the windows up. We can change that up. But I do think it's going to fit into the neighborhood. I think it's going to be a nice piece of the neighborhood, and I think the other two houses will be too. So I would say before we pass judgment on the massing, we are staying within the limits of our city code. We're not asking for any variances, and I would wait to see the 3D and the renderings that our architect is working up for you guys.
And our rendering is gonna have all three houses on the three empty lots side by side, which will give a better idea of how it's all gonna look.
Anyone with some other comments? This is
Where are you
kind
gonna
of
put the driveway?
What was that?
Where are you gonna put the driveways?
The driveway will go along the side of the home to the back of the house. That is required by the city. We would have loved to put the driveway in the front into the, have a kind of the garage in the front, but the city would not allow us that to do.
Does that include the 10-foot allowance?
Yeah, we're staying within all setbacks. Yes, we're staying with all height setback or heights and side and rear and front. We're staying within all the guidelines.
So there'll be no cut or in the middle of the block. Is that my understanding?
Say that again. You broke up on me.
It's my understanding there'll be no cut curb in the middle of the block.
Only cut curb is going to be where the driveway entrance of the driveway.
All right. Is there other comments? Anyone want to give the John and
Yeah.
Johnny some comments?
Yes, there are apparently 3 people trying to get in that can't get in. They've called late and they haven't been able to get in. It's former council member Thune and Keith and Barb McCormick, all of whom have got something to say about this. We'd like to hear their comments. Can you help them out?
Well, they need to use the new link because Microsoft changed MS Teams over the weekend and they've crashed all the old appointments we had. That's why we had to quickly make a new appointment this morning.
Use a new one?
Or they can call in and use the ID.
Remember they came out today. Did you get that one? You didn't get that one?
Yeah, was it the new one?
Here, I'll try to send it to you.
The most recent one, I actually used the old link, George, and that got me in. I don't know what, I'm probably to blame for the miscommunication, guys, because I didn't see the email from George until later in the day. I posted the updated one on the Facebook page, but maybe somebody can call Barbara, Keith, and Dave and let them know.
And folks can call in as well. Use the call-in number and then use the meeting ID followed by #.
Okay, I'll text Dave, guys.
You have to follow with the
Here,
pound sign.
here, thank you right now.
Yeah, we're still trying to get the virtual meeting thing under control. So once we get this all taken care of and under control, then COVID-19 will be over and we'll all be back into the city. So we'll all be meeting again in person.
I look forward to that day.
So while we're waiting, anyone else have comments? The commission really appreciates hearing from neighbors. They sometimes they feel like they're doing things in a vacuum, and they had some concerns about the house, but they had asked me to set up a meeting so neighbors could freely speak. And when this goes to the commission, feel free to you can have written comments. You can you virtually attend the meeting and speak to the commission as well. But I do, as staff are working with Tony and John, I'd love to have these comments in advance so that we can kind of be working on something that I really hope to have something that is going to achieve an approval from the commission, and we're not going to hold them up too much. And I also want, but I want to make sure neighbors are heard. I want to make sure you guys are happy with what's going to be built, and so here's your chance to do that. So,
George, how is it?
Can you explain to us? Can you explain what is metal fascia?
John, you want to?
Yep. Sure. Yeah. Metal fascia is basically when your roof comes down at the end of your roof, when it goes vertical, that is called fascia. And then we put metal over that. So you know, water, and then we put gutters over that. Your roof break.
Hey, George, it's John Hughes.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's the status of the windows? In my recollection, the windows that are being shown on the elevation aren't like any other windows in the park. And I guess I care most about the front elevation.
Yep, and John, we are changing those. We've already, the last meeting we had with George, and I think George brought that up right away, is on our next rendering that we're sending out in plans, we're going to go back to more of a traditional look. So that's kind of a non-issue at this point because we are going to make that change.
Hey, would that be a 2/2 double hung then?
I'm not sure. Tony, do you know what we've made the change to yet?
Yeah, it'll be a 2/2, so it'll be a colonial style. It won't have the little square in the middle like is shown now.
But will they be double hungs that will be able to open then?
Yes.
And what kind of windows are you projecting that the vendor will be?
Anderson
200 series.
And then will you still have a round top on that front elevation?
There we go.
I believe, Tony, do you know what we're doing with that? I think we're getting rid of that, right?
On the exterior door you're referring to?
Yeah, and the windows.
We are taking that out to make it a more simple look on the front. Yep.
All right. George, I have one other question, and that is, what happens with the foundation? Is there going to be any indication of foundation for that building?
What is your question? I go, is there going to be what type of foundation are we using?
On most of the houses in Irvine Park, you have a foundation, a plinth for the building. And it looks to me like your elevation has the siding going all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, our siding will be at least 6 inches up off the ground on the sides, and the front elevation has some stonework, brick around the concrete stoop.
Just on the stoop though, not on the bay, it looks like.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there a basement? Is there a basement?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 8-foot basement.
Okay, but
Well, we don't want it to sit
Unusual.
up any higher, so
yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the conversation here.
I would appreciate having 2 more feet to dig.
So I just let a couple more folks in. Welcome. Sorry you had trouble getting in. We're just kind of taking comments as you want to speak. This is your opportunity. So,
Well, not having known what else has been spoken so far, I guess it's hard to jump in. I am concerned about,
I'm trying to identify yourself.
excuse me, this is Keith McCormick here. I am concerned about the height of the buildings and the extent to which they, you're in a row of original period houses, and you're kind of trying to outperform the other houses on the street, which becomes something of a distraction in an historic district. in this,
Okay.
by giving yourself the height. Pardon?
Hey Keith, it's John with Bill, the developer. We've
Yes.
touched. I know you just jumped in here, but we've actually talked about this a little bit. You know, so I don't think I know you guys are looking at it on this 2D draft. I don't think it's going to be as big as you think it is. We are working up some renderings right now to show you more what it's going to look like. This is, again, we're staying within the guidelines of the code. We are definitely not trying to outdo anyone in the neighborhood. There's some beautiful architectural homes in this neighborhood, and that's what we are trying to fit in with. I understand that some people have a concern about massing. You know, this is a 2,500 square foot home. That's not a big home. So I would say hold off on judgment until we can provide you that 3D rendering, so you can actually see more what it looks like compared to the neighbors, and all three houses are going to flow together.
When is that available?
Tony, do you have an idea on that?
I hope we can get it by next week.
Okay. If I could suggest on perhaps you fully considered this, but the idea of having an 8-foot basement and is it concealed within the ceiling of that floor and the joists are above grade?
Tony, you want to jump in?
Yeah, our joists are sitting on top of the foundation, if that's what you're asking. Yes.
Well,
All right, but
from this elevation.
all
you
right,
can't
I
see
see.
it.
Yeah, I'd much rather see a exposed foundation across the face of the building and the sides, and whether it's brick or something.
So what that would do is the house would get taller, right? If we got to bring the foundation out of the ground, then we're making the problem that some people are having worse, because we're going to have more exposed foundation. The house is going to get taller.
Or
Might rather do that than dig deeper. And
You and me both. I know what's under there. This is a very this project is not an easy project. It is there's going to be a lot of work to get through to the basement there. There's bedrock there, and sewer and water that's going on there. There's a lot of work to be done. That it's a complicated build. So we'll see how it shakes out here. I mean, we don't want it to be a big, massive home, so that's why it is the way it is. We're trying to bring it down as far as we can. We did a 9-foot ceiling and have 10-foot ceilings. So I don't know if it would, be beneficial to come out of the ground 2 feet, than have just exposed stone and then have the house 2 feet higher. I don't know if that's what we want.
We're not.
Frankly, Keith, I'm a little puzzled by what you're saying. You saying you want the house to build higher so you see the foundation better? As a neighbor, I'd prefer that not be the case.
Going back to, I think, a point Kurt had made in some of his comments about what you might want to call a platform for most of the houses that exist in the park. This one doesn't. It actually looks like it might, from the street, it almost looks like it could be slab on grade. And that isn't a look that is consistent with the other houses. I think that's the only thing Keith was wondering, if there was a way to address that particular issue. Not that he wants the house higher or even wants a basement particularly, so much as that look on the front elevation, to have that foundation or platform that the house arises out of.
Yeah. Not without raising the foundation. And no, I'm not saying raise the foundation. I was making a point is that if we did have a foundation exposed, that means we would have to raise it up and then the house would look bigger. I'm not trying to do that at all. To make it kind of have like a port. Go ahead.
You're talking about the height of each of the two floors at, what did you say, 10 and 9?
9 and 9.
Now, is that floor to ceiling or
Floor to
top of
ceiling.
the joist to top of the joist?
It's floor to ceiling.
Is that typical for the other houses on the street?
I can't tell you. I don't know I've never.
Kurt, what's yours? Or 10?
See, there you go.
It's 9 or 10.
Yeah, Ben Peterson's is 9 feet 4 on the first floor and 8 feet and probably plates on the second floor.
I would think that you could have 9 feet interior height on the first floor and 8 feet on the second, and then that gives you 2 feet of foundation exposed.
There's another way to look at this too, and with the notion that the entire frame is trimmed out with siding and trims. You wind up with 4 feet of floor trusses, about 30 inches or maybe more of energy heel on the roof trusses, and then the 19 feet total interior space in addition to that. So on the proposed building, you wind up with a total of, before the roof, at the wall lines, the distance from the top of foundation to the roof surface on the proposed is 25 to 26 feet. And on all of the other 12 buildings on the street, that dimension is 18 to 20 feet. So it is taller.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this will look more clear once we get this rendering sent over to you guys. And I'm not sure if you guys are in the area, if you're driving down Summit and drive by our house we're building now, that house is actually 5 feet taller than this house is now. And it doesn't look as tall as it does on the paper. So, I mean, it's really, this house is going to be 30 feet to the peak. Our house on Summit is 35 feet, and it doesn't look that tall. So it will be a lot. It'll look a lot more in line with everything once we get this rendering sent over to you.
Hey guys, I was gonna say thanks for answering all of our questions. First of all, I know we're kind of getting towards the end of the call. We got about 15 minutes left, but obviously the neighborhood is excited, but also wary because it's the first building that's been done in the park in some time. But what is the protocol as the building progresses for making sure things stay on track with, what you guys have agreed upon with HPC? Are there checkpoints or?
George, on that?
I was going to jump in and say we actually can't get our certificate of occupancy unless they sign off on it. I believe that correctly.
So if you guys make changes or modifications during the construction process that aren't agreed upon, like in theory, you would have to go back and fix those before they moved in?
Yeah, our client wouldn't be able to move in the house.
Yeah, you're correct. You are correct. Yeah. We like the house we're building on Summit right now. We've had a couple of meetings with them, and I think Tony's been updating them. We have a ton of experience in St. Paul. If we ever had a change, we know to run that by George and Christine at HPC. Generally, we don't. I mean, once we get through this process, we just want to build a home. But yeah, there is checks and balance there. They have to sign off on everything for us to get a certificate of occupancy, which allows the homeowners to move in.
Cool. Say, do you guys have a time frame for when this is all going to start? Just the second one too. I don't know if you can share that with us, but
yeah. So time is once we get HPC approval, we're going to go in for permits. So we're ready to go. We're soon as we're done with HPC and permit, we're going to break ground. And I would say the other one is probably, I would say we're going to be another month before we get into HPC and start this
Cool.
process. You guys, that's really up in the air though, because we're designing the home with the homeowners right now, and that process
Cool.
can be very really.
Awesome.
Oh, I didn't know that was two. I thought it was just one. Okay.
Okay, great. Any last comments? Anything anybody wants to wrap up with?
Sure, I'll comment again. This is Schwickenberg. Been enjoying driving by the Summit House from the beginning and watching that, and it's clearly a state-of-the-art marvel, technology-wise, and clean site and no chaos. Looks great. You made reference to the apparent mass of the building, and I would note that in the context of Summit Avenue with very large buildings, it doesn't look large at all. It looks fairly modest, kind of right down the middle of whatever you call it.
Yeah, you're correct. We had to set it back further than we originally had drawn up, so it's behind the existing houses, and it's also shorter. So.
Yeah.
And this house on Ryan will be 5 feet shorter than that house.
Right, but the neighboring houses, the context on Ryan Avenue is diminutive by a couple orders of magnitude from Summit Avenue. So that's really not a helpful comparison. The context is everything, and that's what I'm speaking to, and I'm absolutely confident that there's a good solution, and we're pointed right, or you guys are pointed right at it, what have you. But there is this issue of context, and I strongly maintain that the context for your buildings is Ryan Avenue and not the Irvine Park frontage or Exchange Street for that matter.
Yeah. I think Kurt's probably carried water on that one.
All right. Anyone? Anything else? Or and if anyone, you may have trouble getting off of mute. We've had some issues with MS Teams in the past. Feel free. My email is out there. You can email me, John and Tony. I think Elise is going to make sure their email is on your listserv, so you can contact them as well. We will make sure notice is sent for the HPC meeting, which it's not scheduled yet. So that will, at this point, it couldn't be any time sooner than late February. So we still have some time. And I took some notes, so I'll be typing those up and get those out to everybody. So thanks.
Say, George.
Yes, John.
Say, could you explain what's happening with the porch columns? And are there any precedents in the park for those kinds of columns?
Towers.
John, Tony?
Oh, that question was directed at you, so we didn't jump in there.
Right.
I not that I don't know if there's a precedent or anything. I'm not sure on that, John.
Are the columns chamfered, or is that just a piece of molding that's on the outside of it?
Yeah, it's a piece of molding. So we'll wrap our column with a smooth 1/4-inch thick smooth panel. Then we'll install a secondary trim board to give it the raised panel effect.
Is that the same as the detail under the windows on the bay?
Correct.
Okay. And we will, as part of the HPC submittal, the actual public hearing, we do have a couple worksheets that you guys will want you to fill out. That there's a streetscape, also looks at your inspiration for the building. You guys have talked about the bay and some inspirations for the bay, and we want to kind of pull all that together so that kind of your design methodology is very clear as we start to talk about this for permitting. So I'll get those to you guys. So.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Once again, if you need to contact me, feel free. Send me an email or give me a call. With COVID-19, I'm working all the time. So just feel free to reach out. So thanks, everybody.
Great, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Take care.
Yep.
Thanks, George. Thanks, guys.
Click on that.